Welcome to a special edition of the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. This special article is Labor and Refreshment by Brother William E. Hammond, Grand Chaplain, and comes from the August 1956 issue of the New Age magazine, predecessor to the Scottish Rite Journal. The temple was not an end in itself, as the story of the building makes amply clear. It was designed and constructed to meet certain spiritual needs of men. A cessation of work in its erection and ornamentation by reason of absent workmen or the lack of designs on the trestle board justified King Solomon's great alarm. He found the laborers idle, and he knew that, if the work were discontinued, the great building upon which he had set his heart would never be completed. Life is never static. It either advances or recedes, improves or degenerates. Labor is essential to health and wholesomeness. On the other hand, ceaseless work is devitalizing. Labor requires refreshment to produce its highest efficiency. Incessant labor is wearing. Unrelieved strain is evidenced in taut nerves and increasing irritability, often in opaque judgment and lost confidence. Refreshment is essential to sustained vigor. When, however, it is converted into intemperance and excess, it loses its usefulness. The sole purpose of recreation is to recreate. When it results in impaired strength, judgment, and skill, its purpose is defeated. Absence from regular communications is invariably due to a blank trestle board. Once labor is suspended, interest correspondingly wanes. Large stretches of inactivity result in an empty temple. When degree work is sparse, masters often revert to refreshment in the hope of sustaining temple interest. Ladies' night, potluck suppers, card parties, dances, and the like are offered as an attraction. These are not wholly devoid of merit, even under the most flourishing conditions. Refreshment is conducive to rich fellowship and stronger friendships and is a valuable source of reinvigoration. To rely, however, on refreshment to sustain interest in regular communications is to invite disillusion. There is no adequate substitute for labor as a means of binding members to the craft. The most impressive feature of life is its limitless potentials. It has no cramping boundaries for the adventurous spirit. No sooner is one objective attained than others of more promising reward appear on the horizon. Each peak scaled discloses higher ones, demanding further and greater effort. Peaks also reveal unanticipated vistas that challenge exploration. There's no sense in going further. It's the end of civilization. So they said, and I believed it. Broke my land and sowed my crop. Built my barns and strung my fences in the little border station tucked away below the foothills where the trails run out and stop. Till a voice, as bad as conscience, interminable changes on one everlasting whisper day and night repeating, so, something hidden. Go and find it. Go and look behind the ranges. Something lost behind the ranges, lost and waiting for you. Go. Kipling, the Explorer. That is the most bewitching, challenging, ennobling feature of life. Its potentials know no limitations. Masonry offers similar limitless, challenging potentials. In each degree, the candidate is required to advance. When ordered to return to the anteroom from which he came, it is solely to await further instructions. He is repeatedly reminded that Masonry is a progressive discipline. To be raised to the level of a Master Mason is not the culmination of his progress. Unlimited trails lie ahead of him to be mastered. Who, for instance, can boast of having fathomed the rich mine of Masonic symbolism? Vast stretches remain to be explored before the fullest benefits of Masonry can be known. The word master is self-explanatory. The master of a lodge is one who, by right of the authority invested in him, his superior knowledge, or both, is qualified to give instructions. It is his obligation to see that the trestle board is never bare of designs, for suspended labor makes for stagnation and degeneration. When unqualified to give instructions, or when his orders are arbitrary or even harmful, a master is unworthy of the position he occupies. In the absence of degree work, other designs must be in readiness for the workman's execution. Otherwise, interest in the temple will wane and attendance at regular meetings decline. Masonic schools of instruction are common. Their purpose is admirable, to wit, to intensify the impressiveness of the work. Sloppiness and inaccuracies are inexcusable. They impair the effectiveness of any labor. Conversely, precision, skill, and fervor add to the impressiveness of any performance. First impressions are too important to be treated lightly. The lessons of Masonry are either indelibly impressed on the candidate or are too faintly recorded to influence vitally his future conduct. Schools of instruction are commendable by improving the quality of the work. Curiously, Masonic schools of moral instruction are deplorably neglected. This impresses one as strange on, at least, 2 counts. The primary purpose of Masonry is to build moral structures. The temple is not an end in itself. Its sole justification is to serve in the building of character and a better world order. In the second place, when the trestle board is empty of ethical design and instruction, progress in the work comes to a halt. Once labor ceases, moral structures rapidly fall into disrepair. Labor is not required to cause degeneration. To change the figure of speech, worthless weeds require no careful cultivation. They grow of themselves. This is rarely true of the useful and the beautiful. These call for ceaseless labor. Eternal vigilance is the price not only of liberty, but of moral excellence. The harvest of Masonry is easily depleted by failure to uproot choking weeds and to destroy devastating pests. Indifference to and carelessness in the obligation of Masonic obligations is easily acquired when the trestle board is bare of design and instructions. The urgency of Masonic schools of moral instruction is seen in the dearth of vital interest in the cultivation of commanding qualities. What better labor can Masons be engaged in than the building and beautification of their moral structures and the production of a finer world order? There is no reason why every communication cannot be made a school of ethical instruction, when those in attendance gain some fresh insight into the meaning of its teachings and are inspired to labor even more diligently in the building of their moral structures and of a better social order. Masters are often at a loss how to sustain interest in regular meetings when work is sparse. Consequently, the trestle board remains empty. Work halts, interest wanes, and attendance declines. Protracted refreshment leaves members disillusioned, for there is no adequate substitute for labor. Masonry is rich in literature, which steadily mounts in volume. It offers an inexhaustible mine of instructions, sufficient to keep the trestle board filled with fresh designs and adequate to inspire continued labor in the building and improvement of Masonry's moral edifices. The best teacher this writer ever had did not teach his students anything. He was content to draw their attention to, and to stimulate interest in, prevailing knowledge. What he did was to announce a topic, inform a student where to find material on the subject, and assign him to report at the next class. After the student's report, he invited the class to discuss the material presented. His own views on the subject he never revealed. He restricted his instruction to drawing attention to unwarranted and erroneous conclusions. The wealth of Masonic literature at hand lends itself to schools of moral instruction and, if diligently utilized, will result in finer personal and social moral structures, which is not only the primary purpose of Masonry, but its sole justification for existence.